All right, welcome everyone to month 5 of the Tennis Insiders Club. Pretty awesome stuff. We're in month 5, and it's been so amazing to connect with all of you in the Insiders Club, and thank you so much for your passion, your commitment to getting better. We're going to wait a couple minutes before we get started. Make sure we get enough.
All right, welcome everyone to
Hold on a second here.
Of the Tennis Insiders Club.
I've got an echo over
Pretty
here.
awesome stuff. We're in month 5, and it's been so amazing to connect with all of you in the Insiders Club, and thank you so much for your passion, your commitment to getting better. We're going to wait a couple minutes before we get started. Make sure we get enough. All right, welcome everyone to
Hold on a second here. We got lots of stuff
the
going on.
Tennis Insiders Club. Pretty awesome stuff. We're in month 5, and it's so amazing to connect with all of you in the Insiders Club. Thank you so much for your passion, your commitment to get better. We're going to wait a couple minutes before we get started. Make sure we get enough. All right, welcome everyone to here. The Tennis Insiders Club.
Oof. Okay, looks like I had a couple. I guess I was invited on the coaching call, and so you got to hear me there. So apologize for that. Okay, whew. We're back. Month 5, Tennis Insiders Club. We're going to get going in a few minutes here, and I've got my notes ready. Got some great things that I want to talk about tonight as it relates to month 5, a little bit of month 4, some things going on in my life on the tennis court that I'd like to share. So it's going to be a great call. We're going to have a great time tonight. Super quick, super fast, get in, get out, solid information to share. I know all of you guys are ready to learn. Just give it another minute here. I got my Gerald Steiner sparkling water, the healthiest sparkling water in the world. I've got my perfect food bar. It's going to tide me over before I grab dinner after this call. So the weather's been amazing here in Denver. We have not had snow yet. We're almost to November, and we have not had snow. Usually we have a snowstorm here the first week of October. We have a beautiful fall here. The leaves are changing. I actually had a birthday October 14th. I turned 42, so the fall season is always a special time for me. And again, like I said, no snow yet. We usually get 1 or 2 snowstorms. It hasn't come. I'm on my way to Florida in a couple days at the time of this recording, this call. And but there's no snow and tonight. It's just been awesome. Been outside giving lessons. I've got a couple of amazing students that I'm helping. Kind of an unexpected deal that I'm going to share and talk about in a minute. So just give it one more minute, and then we're going to get started. Can't believe it's already month 5. It's just flown by, and it's been awesome, like I said, to connect with you guys and to really just see all of you improve and get a lot out of this program. So thank you for that. And, I brought some of my best stuff, probably most of my best stuff to this program, and I really wanted to over-deliver and give you the secrets, and it's been awesome. So, all right, let's get started. Here we go. Month 5. Month 5 is all about, and we're in it now, it's called Next Level Tennis. So I wanted to do a month where we talked about that next level, kind of the advanced things that most coaches, most players aren't aware of, but these are things you can actually apply to your game as you keep improving. So month 5 is about next level tennis. Month 4, which was last month, was all about effortless power and solid technique as it relates to the serve, the ground strokes, the returns, the volleys, and the overheads. And so I brought out really solid, kind of some of my most powerful tips that I use in my lessons. And last month we talked about the ground strokes, serve, the return, and then week 4 is volleys and overhead. So we're going to cover a little bit of month 4. We're of course going to cover the first 3 weeks, actually the first 4 weeks, all 4 weeks of month 5. I apologize for being a week late on this coaching call. Usually we do it in the 3rd week. This happens to be in the 4th week, but I was out of town. I was in Chicago learning some new cutting edge stuff on athletic training. So that was awesome. So before we get started, I want to talk to you about what's going on the court with me. And so I'm coaching a player now. She's 18 years old. She's signed with LSU, Louisiana State University, and very motivated player from Colorado. And we connected again about 2 months ago and started working together. I've been emailing a little bit about it, talking about it. And the number one thing that we've been working on is her mindset, her mind, her mental toughness, her resiliency, her strength under pressure. And, you know, this is a girl that's top 10 in the country and has aspirations of playing high-level college tennis and even pro tennis. And just like I work with you guys, it's the mind. How do we focus on the right things at the right time? And just really retraining her mind, giving her discipline, making her feel better about her tennis from a mental or mindset standpoint. And so she has work to do in this area like we all do, but developing that stability and that mental resiliency is so important. We had the state championship for men or for boys here in Colorado, and I went to go watch a player who lost in the state finals. He's a junior, a very nice player, playing number 3 singles for his team. And I watched him play the match, and I could just tell mentally he was not at a place that he needed to be. He got nervous. He felt like he panicked a little bit. He's playing for a state title. He didn't really know how to manage those nerves. So it's just so interesting that pretty much any player that I touch or work with and make a difference with, it's always going to start with the mind, how you're thinking, how you're making corrections. And so with this player, you know, we talked about that as well after his match. And, you know, we put him on a daily dose of affirmations and really understanding that his self-talk is going to determine how much he improves the next year. I mean, you can work on your forehand, your backhand, but if you don't have that positive self-talk and the ability to find the lesson and the positivity in everything, you are going to limit your ability to improve. And we're working on this with him. We're working on with the other student I just mentioned. Very, very key. We're also, I mean, of course, we're working on all aspects of the game, but one thing that we're really working on is on the return of serve, catching the racket on the forehand. And that's something that in month 4 we covered with effortless power and solid technique, is that on the forehand return, if you catch the racket, if you finish high and you catch the racket on the throat, you're going to have a stable finish every time. And so I work on that every day with my students when we work on returns. And I worked on that with both players in the last week on the court. And again, I work with these concepts. I work on these concepts with any level of player because I want to create that foundation. I want to strengthen the fundamentals. We also work on alignment of the body and keeping the head at contact. And having good alignment allows you, having good balance, having good alignment allows you to swing the racket correctly and create that effortless power. So many players are not using their bodies correctly, and it really limits the ability to hit that effortless power because you're having to use more arm. So we want that on the return. We want that on the ground strokes. It's just very important to get those solid techniques going. So in month 4, we talked about ground strokes and we talked about relaxing the hand. If you finish your swings and you relax the hand, you're taking tension out of the hand and the arm, and you're reminding yourself to stay relaxed and to swing freely. When you hold your finish on your forehand, your two-handed backhand, and even your one-handed backhand, it makes the stroke more stable. Too often players swing and then they bring the racket down really fast. That's more of a panic stroke for me. So I like the hold of the finish because you can really see how much you extended, where the racket finished, and it really improves the quality of the shot. So if there's 2 things that can help a player with effortless power and solid technique. It's the finish, holding the finish, and it's being able to relax the hands at the end of the swing. A lot of people say, hey, what about at contact? Should I be gripping at contact? I don't even think about contact. I focus on the end point, relaxing the hand, and I trust that someone will figure out by relaxing the hand how much grip pressure to have at the contact point. So again, with the ground strokes, we talked about relaxing the hand and holding the finish. In the serve module or serve week of effortless power, we talked about the first move drill, making that first move against the fence. It's a very short movement. We talked about delaying the hand, meaning that when your tossing hand goes up, your racket hand should delay. They shouldn't go up together at the same time. There should be a little delay in the dominant hand. And then continuous swings, helping with rhythm and power. So that's very key as well, is getting those continuous swings down. I actually had another lesson with a player, a junior player who's 12. He's #1 in the section here. He's about 30 in the country. It's pretty cool. I get to work with some really awesome juniors around here. And again, I don't do it full time. I do it because it feels good, because it's fun to help these players, and I have a relationship with them. It's really, really nice. And so Clark, actually I shouldn't say his name, sorry. Just pretend I didn't say that. He's been working on continuous swings to get his elbow in the right position. And so all of you out there can do continuous swings to get your elbows in the right positions. And then the next week, week 3 of month 4, we talked about the returns. I mentioned the forehand catch and hold. And then you've got also the backhand power block and the being able to relax the hands on the backhand, the two-handed backhand. So you got the power block where you leave the hands in front and you're fully extended. You don't wrap over the shoulder. You can do that with the one-handed backhand as well, where you hold the finish at the end of the swing with the hands in front. That's that power block, short finish. It's like get that maximum power off of fast serves. Now, slow serves, you can go with the full swing. And then we have the block return where you treat it more like a volley. And I like having that head, that racket head close to the head when I hit the volley. And again, you can review those lessons in the Insiders Club. In the first move, we talk about, I'm sorry, with the overhead. We're still in the block return, my bad. So we're focusing on that volley technique and holding the finish as well. Now, week 4, we went into volleys and overheads. And on the volleys, I really like teaching people to stop their finish at contact. A lot of people get too long at the end. I like a stop of the finish at contact. I'm okay actually with a little bit of backswing, but a stop of the finish. That's with fastball. That's with fastballs. Yeah, slower balls you can have a little longer finish, but I do like those shorter finishes. I do like the racket close to the head. And then with the overhead, you know, a lot of people don't make a good first move. So when they don't make a good first move, it messes all of, you know, the technique up completely. So you want to get into this position where you're almost saluting or the hand is close to the head, like you're going to throw something. You know, in this position, a lot of people lay the wrist back like this. And it just messes up the technique. So making that first move, that creates the effortless technique, creates all that power, that natural power that we're looking for. And then I did a little balance concept in that overhead lesson. We talked about hopping after hitting. And hopping simply means after you hit the ball, you're on your front foot and you just hop for balance, making sure you're totally upright. So that's really key. Excuse me. So that's month 4. Effortless technique, solid technique, effortless power. Awesome, awesome month of learning. But now, month 5, we're here in month 5. It's all about next level tennis. Next level tennis, baby. Let's get this party started. Let's go to the next level. Who's going to show you next level tennis? I'm going to show you. So in the first week of next level tennis, the first lesson was about serve, footwork, and recovery. Pretty interesting because most coaches or players don't really talk about serve footwork. But I find that's very important because if you think about this, half of all points start with a serve. And if you're hitting a serve and then you don't know how to move after the serve, if you don't know how to recover after you hit a serve, that's going to put you in a disadvantage on the next shot. So it's so critical to get that footwork down. So here's what you got to do. If you jump, you're going to land on your front foot, and then that second step has to go into the court. A lot of players, if they jump, they land on their front foot, and then they don't take another step in, so their momentum is restricted. And so we want that 1-2 move, the landing and the second step into the court. And if you don't jump, then you're probably going to just step in with your back foot after you hit the serve. So that actually makes it easier to recover. You won't be as explosive on your serve with your legs, but it is easier to recover afterwards. So let's get back to assuming that you hit your serve and you land on the front foot, and then you take that next step into the court. So you're going to be a couple feet into the court if you do this right, this 1-2 move. Now from here, players mess up by taking several little steps to get back, or yeah, really just several choppy steps. Or they might just even stand in no man's land, and that's not going to work either. So you need a little happy medium. So when you land and you take that second step, you've got to make sure that you take 1 or 2 steps after in a backwards fashion, and then do a jump split step back. So again, you're going to have to look, for me to show this, just go into the Tennis Insiders Club and watch the recovery lesson for the serve. You're going to see how that's broken down, and it's very rhythmic. It's also it makes sense. I mean, there's rhythm to it. There's feel. It's not choppy. It's not unorganized. It's very structured. So you can shadow stroke this serve move and make it work for you, this serve recovery move. And like I said before, if you don't jump and you just step into the court, it's actually easier to step back and use the jump split step to get into position. So we also talked about the serve and volley. That was one of the lessons in week 1. And serve and volley is so misunderstood, and unfortunately not always taught the right way. But hey, we have our lesson to show what we're looking for. So the biggest mistake, one of the biggest mistakes actually that I see with players that serve and volley, is when they serve and they land, they take several choppy steps moving up to the court. They're not very explosive, several choppy little steps. So that's one problem. The second problem is this notion that players think they have to get to the service line or inside the service line before they split step, and that is not true. I mean, if you have a popcorn serve, if you serve really slowly, you might be able to get to the service line before you split step. Probably shouldn't laugh, but you probably can do it. But as you ascend to higher levels, as you serve bigger, you're going to split step probably somewhere halfway, maybe a little more than halfway between the baseline and the service line. I know that when I hit my biggest serves, I would land, take 1 step, maybe 2 steps. So I land, take 1 step, and then it's time to split. And if you study Pete Sampras, you're going to see that split step after a landing and 1 step, and then a split. And you're going to see that from other players as well. Of course, it depends on how high you jump when you serve. Because if you jump pretty high and you come down, you're going to have less time to take steps. But if you don't jump very high, then you have more time to take more steps, clearly. So I like landing, take 1 big step, 1 big stride. So we want the strides to be big and longer. It should actually feel smooth rather than short and choppy. You're covering a lot of ground with a long stride. And then you do your jump split. And then after you land, you are not slowing down or stopping. You are just kind of sliding through that split step. A lot of people say, make sure you have a great split step. Well, people that split sometimes slow down and stop. I see that when people are rehearsing their split step. Gosh, what are you doing? You're splitting and you're stopping, and then you have to start your momentum again. You should be gliding through the split step smoothly, effortlessly, 1 big step before, and then as soon as you come out of the split, you are moving forward towards the volley. And that is the magic, is when you split step between the baseline and the service line. But then after you split, you take a couple big steps, and now you're hitting your volley inside the service line. So that's kind of the secret there, is being able to measure your steps correctly, split step early enough at the right time, and then explode out of the split with a gliding movement with a big step. That's huge to be able to do that. And then you can hit your volley inside the service line. And then if you add the footwork patterns with the volley, that's how you can really hit and be on top of the net after your first volley, because you're just moving with effortless momentum. That's the next level tennis we're talking about. There was a YouTube video a couple years ago by a coach that I know, and they were demonstrating serve and volley. And this kid, poor kid, he took like 8 steps before his split step. And it's like, you don't, those 8 steps were choreographed, because I don't think there was anyone returning on the other side of the net. It was kind of a video they made to show serve and volley. And he's taking, like 8 steps before he splits. And I'm like, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen on the tour. It doesn't happen at any level. Now, if your returner is standing really far back to return, like a clay quarter, yeah, okay, you might get 2 or 3, maybe 4 steps if you're serving slowly. But like taking a bunch of steps is not going to work. So you land, you take a big stride, you're ready to use your split step, and then you move through it and you hit your volley. It's as simple as that. You can study that video, course, in month 5, week 1. So the other lesson in there is the return footwork recovery. And what we did here is we showed the footwork for the wide return and the footwork for the body return. Those are 2 important returns, right? So with the wide return, it's so important that after you come out of your split step, if these are my feet, that you load the outside leg. So if I'm moving this direction, I'm going to split, and then I'm going to load this leg, and then I'm going to cross over with that foot, the inside foot. I'm going to reach for the ball. So it's what I call a back to front footwork pattern. We're focusing on the back to front, and you're wanting to load that outside leg and make sure that you have that you wait on that foot long enough. A lot of players go too early. They get on their front foot too early. It just doesn't work out. So you've got to load the outside leg, and then at the right time, you're transferring the weight to the front foot. So when you actually make contact, ideally both feet will probably be off the ground or slightly touching the ground. You're shifting that weight. So the back to front is huge. And then when you're hitting this, and this is what I'm helping this player with her forehand return, this top college, soon to be college player, she's still in high school. But sometimes when she hits, she over rotates or faces the net too much. So when you move out for the wide return, you've got to load the outside leg, transfer the weight to the front leg. And as you're doing that, you're going to keep your head at contact and not rotate too much. You're almost going to be facing at a 45-degree angle towards the side fence. Okay, so important. And then when you finish that, all of the weight should be on the front foot, and then you can bring that other leg around and square up in a wide base. And so I break this movement down step by step, bit by bit, because I want everyone to understand that you have to be able to do each individual move before you can do the collective move. That's what I believe, and that's what I've noticed. We break it down into little bits. So, back to front, then when you land, then you start to square up for your next shot. It's critical. It's huge. It's how you're going to improve your wide return. Okay, and you do this on the forehand side. You do this on the backhand side. Same footwork, same head at contact, same balance and rhythm, same squaring up. And then when you do square up and you're outside, probably outside the alley on a wide ball, then you're going to cross over to get back to the middle. So you're going to do a big crossover step and then a shuffle and a split, or maybe a crossover to split. It depends on timing. Now, if you don't want to cross over, you can actually cross behind. You do that more on the one-handed backhand. I talk about that. Actually in week 4 We actually, no, it's not in week 4. It's in a different, I think it's in a different month. I think it's in the footwork month. That's right. It's in the footwork month, I believe. It's a Federer footwork. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's in week 2 of this month. That's right. Federer backhand recovery secret. I'm looking at my notes. So it's in month 5, week 2. Awesome lesson about how to recover after a wide ball on the backhand side. But, you know, a crossover or a cross behind, they both can work. With the body return, the biggest mistake that players make is that when the ball comes, they turn sideways right away and then they get jammed. So what you want to do is when you see the ball comes, you have to move to the side and use a karaoke footwork pattern to the side without turning your shoulders. So you really have to try to face the net as you move. And then when you hit the ball, you know, you're in this position instead of this position. So that's something that a lot of players don't understand. They don't know how to move out of the way of the ball. They get jammed and then they stop. So you actually want to face the net, shuffle as you hit the ball, and then keep moving afterwards to get out of the way of the ball. If you hit and then stop, you're going to still run right into the ball and get jammed. So that's a huge tip too, you know, with the body return. So many players struggle with it. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to struggle anymore if you understand the right movement patterns. I'm telling you this, you can do this, you know, you can learn this and have fun with this. So that was month 5, week 1. And then we move into week 2. Week 2 is about the ground strokes. And the ground strokes, the first week we talked about inside out and inside in footwork. And just like I mentioned, with the body return to serve, how you don't want to turn sideways as you move on the body return coming at you. On the inside out and inside in, when you're moving around a ball to hit inside out or inside in, you've got to move so that you don't turn your shoulders too much. You've got to keep your hips facing the net more. Too often, again, players are turning sideways when they make their move, and it's not going to work. So what was I going to say about that? Oh, Federer. Yeah, Federer. Mr. Federer, the mover. You know, study Federer's inside out, inside in, and you'll see that he, when he moves around a ball, he is facing the net. The only turn is this arm pulling across, you know, or this arm pulling across to hit a forehand. But he's not turning sideways, and he's really facing the net as he moves around the ball. I've never seen really any coaches teach this. I'm sure there are, especially in Europe, especially people that have studied Federer's movement enough. People have to be modeling him. I mean, if I'm the only one modeling him and teaching his stuff, then I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. But, you know, again, I never was taught to move while facing the net. You're always taught kind of turn sideways to move around. But if you want to cover more ground, if you want to see the court, I think when you're facing the net more, your head's not turning, so then you can see the ball. Okay, you can pick up the ball, you can make calculations. So the inside out and the inside in, face the net, don't turn sideways, and study Federer. So key to study Federer and his movement. You'll see it. You'll see that he doesn't turn sideways right away. Now the next lesson we talked about was the shuffle move backhand. I love this lesson. Again, no one taught me. They always said, okay, run to the ball, get the outside leg behind the ball, either step in or hit open stance. But what about moving out to the ball? Who teaches you this stuff? I just say, oh, you know, split step and run to the ball or crossover. Well, then I started watching some top pros, and one of them was Andy Murray, and he shuffles when the ball comes to his backhand. If these are the feet, he shuffles for like one shuffle. So it's actually, here's my feet, okay, split step, a little step out, and then a shuffle. So the step out creates the space for the shuffle. But when you time that and then you step in and hit the ball, man, it is awesome. Like, it's totally awesome. I love it. So good. Shuffle, step in, hit. Murray does it like a champ. And it helped my backhand a lot because I was one of these guys that turned sideways, crossed over, blocked my hips, And as soon as I started shuffling first, so you shuffle, then you step in aggressively. So you're not hitting, when you shuffle, you're not going to hit open stance. You're going to shuffle, and you're going to step in, and you're going to torque that backhand. You're going to drive through it. You know, I had the problem. I mean, I was blocking my hips. I was too sideways. So as soon as I started shuffling, got behind the ball, stepping in, ripping, felt awesome. Loved it. Great tip for me. I mean, really changed my backhand in many ways. And so grateful that I've learned it and that I can pass it on. And it actually, a lot of one-handed players do it. I've seen Federer do this shuffle move on a wide ball where you think he should turn and run, but no, big shuffle, big step across, rips the one-hander. So that's super awesome. Like, I love watching the pros do that. Now, with that being said, Novak Djokovic, he crosses over with his first move. He doesn't shuffle most of the time. So it doesn't mean you have to be a shuffler on the back end, but for me, it frees me up. It makes me feel better. It makes me feel more alive on the court. It makes my footwork awesome. I love it. I love this shuffle move backhand. You should try it out too. My students like it as well. They pick it up super fast. It's awesome. The third lesson in this whole sequence, we're going to finish this third, and then we're going to move on to week 3. I'm going to take a little 1-minute break after this next one because there's something I want to look up real quick. But the backhand recovery secret, you know, getting pulled wide on your backhand, especially your one-handed backhand. After you finish that shot, you don't have to be in a hurry to recover. You can actually get back slowly, because if you hit a good ball on defense and it goes cross court, you don't want to recover too fast. You just want to hang out in the cross court pattern. And the Federer recovery secret is where you square up, and then you, instead of crossing over, you cross behind. When you cross behind, again, your shoulders face the net more. When you cross over, your shoulders turn a little more. So this is a way to kind of read the court, see the court without turning sideways. You're crossing behind, you're picking up the ball. It's really, really, really cool. So I think you should check it out. Again, I didn't learn it until I was probably 30 when I saw him doing it. I was like, wait a minute, maybe I was even a coach by then. Maybe I didn't even learn on the tour. It would have helped my backhand slice. But it's such a graceful way to move. There's a reason. I mean, Federer is so graceful because he moves efficiently. You know, you might not be able to move like Federer, but if you start to study the footworks, start doing some of these things, man, your game can really take off. And this is the next level tennis, right? We've talked about recovery on the serve, recovery on the return, the inside-out forehand, the shuffle move, the Federer back. I mean, where are you going to learn this? What coach is going to show you all of this advanced, cool stuff? And when I say advanced, it doesn't mean you can't do it if you're a 3-5. A lot of the stuff I'm showing you can still do. It's going to take some practice. It might be hard for you to get it first, but there's no reason why you can't learn this stuff. So I'm blessed that, again, we get to show cutting edge stuff that people don't even see yet. I'm sure someday they'll see it, but it's really, really cool. All right, let me take a quick break here. I got to look something up. Just a little minute here. Be right back. So we've been talking about some good stuff here. Just give me a minute. So let's see here. All right. Cool. Okay, I'm back. By the way, Novak Djokovic, you guys been following him? I mean, this guy, at the time that we're recording this, he's just dominating on the Asian circuit. It's been amazing to watch. This guy is unreal. Talk about mindset. Jeez. This guy's so locked in. Plays for himself. Plays for his family. Plays for his team. Plays for history. I mean, he's the best. I mean, 3 more years of this, he can, I mean, big if, right? But if he can do that, wow. Greatest player ever. Longevity. Legacy. Federer still got it now, but I'm telling you, this Djokovic guy, he's coming. He is coming. Okay. Speaking of coming, here's week 3. Week 3's coming, okay? So volleys and overheads and the movement related to it. So I'll tell you a quick story. When I was on the tour, I always was seeking out knowledge, trying to find different coaches, different information. And one time I got in touch with Peter Fleming, who, if you don't know Peter, he was John McEnroe's doubles partner. They always say John McEnroe is the best. John McEnroe and anyone else who he plays with was the #1 team in the world. Poor guy, Peter Fleming. He didn't get enough respect, enough credit for his talents, playing with McEnroe. And I met up with Peter. Went to play a challenger in Poland. I lost second round. I was devastated. I'm in this cold, dark Polish city, and in this weird hotel, and not even that nice. And it's just, I lost. I was bummed out. Got on a plane, flew to England, and I met up with Peter. And we went to the courts one day, and he showed me this drill where he said, listen, every shot you hit, you're too stuck. Every shot you hit, you're going to move through the ball. Ground strokes, volleys, passing shots, you're never going to be static. So if you picture John McEnroe, he's always moving. He's always jumping. He's always using the karaoke. And gosh, man, that was a big breakthrough day for me, because I started moving and started feeling rhythm for the first time instead of feeling stuck. And you think about it, what if I had been taught to move through all of my shots when I was young? Probably would have become a pretty good mover. But instead, I was always told to get set, slow down. I don't know, get set and slow down. And yeah, it's good to get set on some shots. Yeah, it's pretty. It's just pretty amazing to move that way. I mean, gosh, I just can't even emphasize it enough. So when you look at that lesson, the volleys and moving like Peter Fleming, you'll see it. And it is advanced. It's harder for some people to get, but it really will be a huge breakthrough. Huge breakthrough for you if you can start to move through it. And there's a little bit of hopping, there's a little bit of stepping, there's a little bit of karaoke. And, if there's nothing else that you learn from that lesson, it's that moving through volleys is the name of the game. And so often we've been told or taught to split step and slow down, and then to get set for a volley, step and hit. Tennis is not played like that. Tennis is played, it's dynamic. You want to move through shots. You want to have rhythm. You want to have balance. It's really awesome. It's an awesome way. It's an awesome way to move. Awesome way to play. I love it. I'm so glad I learned it later in my career. I wish I would have learned it sooner. I mean, maybe I could have been a true master. I mean, I like to think I know the game pretty darn well, but I didn't know it as well when I was playing. I still achieved a decent level, so more than a decent level. So gosh, it's really cool. Just check it out. Peter Fleming, moving through balls, even on ground strokes, even on passing shots. Now, of course, there's a time and a place to be set on volleys, to be set on ground strokes, but this was a drill or an exercise to learn that you can actually flow. You can flow through your shots and move eloquently. And so that volley movement's huge. Even on wide balls, we're going to get stretched on volleys, keeping the racket head up and then squaring up at the end instead of lunging. We want to create situations where we're not just lunging at balls. We want to have great balance. And you're going to lunge when you stop your momentum. You've got to keep moving, either square up or move through the darn ball. That's how you do it. That's how you cover a lot of ground. That's how you can go from no man's land to well in the service line. That's how you can close the net, is by learning to move through your volleys. So that's absolutely key. And then week 3 still, the next lesson is overhead movement. And just getting that drop step crossover down, like you're a quarterback. You take You take the ball under center, you drop step, you cross over, got the rack in position, and then you jump off both legs or the front legs, front foot. Yeah, it's pretty cool when you get the movement down. I feel awesome on the court now. I don't even practice much, but just it's been so ingrained. So if you can shadow stroke, you know, this next level month was there's a lot of footwork in it, right? And if you can shadow stroke it in the winter months or when you get less tennis, I mean, whenever you have time, shadow stroke these movements. It will pay off so huge, because right now you might not be conscious of this movement, so it's hard to do it and play and compete and win. So you have to spend time shadow stroking all of this. It's very, very important to get the shadow stroke down. So the overhead, like I said, drop step crossover, you can load the back leg and then hit and land on the front foot, or you can get on the front foot and hop as you hit it. But the key is to get the drop step crossover. That's absolutely essential. So now we're in week 4. We're getting to week 4, and this one is about specialty shots. And like I said before, we usually do the calls in week 3. This is a week 4 call because I was out of town, so now we can talk about week 4. The lessons have been released. And, you know, you've got specialty shots. First and foremost, the buggy whip. Talked about it a little bit in this program already, but we dedicated an entire lesson to the buggy whip and how you want to use the buggy whip when you're under stress. And there are many times when you're under stress, the ball gets high. It's out of your strike zone. The ball is low, out of your strike zone. The balls you're reaching for, the balls you're on the run, the balls that are close to your body, the balls that comes fast. I mean, the buggy whip is there to help us. There's a lot of pros using the buggy whip for that very reason. The faster the ball moves, the more it jumps, the more it does different things, the more unpredictable it is, the more you could use the buggy whip. A lot of coaches are going to say, oh my gosh, don't use the buggy whip. You're going to hurt yourself, or it's not right. I don't believe in it. Well, when you do that, in my opinion, you're limiting your ability to go to the next level, because there are going to be shots. What if you just use the buggy whip twice a match? You know, that could be 2 times you win points you normally wouldn't win. Or if you use it 20 times on big points. I mean, I see this with my students. I tell them to use the buggy on certain shots. Not every shot, of course, but certain shots, the stress-based shots. And making sure the hand finishes in front of the head. You know, you want the hand in front of the head. You don't want to swing like this. You want to swing and you want to hold right here. That's the secret. Extension and spin combined when you use the buggy whip. So, and you can practice that too. You can do shadow swings with it, and then you can rally from the baseline, and you can just buggy whip for 5 minutes. Or you can do a forehand here and then a buggy whip, a forehand here and then a buggy whip. There's a lot of ways you can go with this, with the buggy whip. The next shot is very difficult. It's called the backhand on the run. And the backhand on the run, I mean, you know, it's the toughest shot in tennis, right? It's probably, yeah, if it's not the toughest shot in tennis, maybe it's the high backhand overhead, but the running backhand, rough. So you got to have the right footwork, and many players don't. So when you run across the court, first choice is to hit it off the outside leg and then use it like a run through. So you hit off the outside leg, and as you're swinging, you know, you're loading off the outside leg, and as you're swinging, you're transferring your weight to the front foot. That's essential to be able to do that. And getting the timing down with the footwork is tough. So you got to run across the court, you got to load the outside leg, and then you've got to land on the front foot when you're done. So that's absolutely key to be able to do that. And you have to do it without rotating. Again, when you're on the dead run, you've got to hit the ball and stay more sideways. So you're going to see, like when I swing in this lesson, you're going to see the head go back, because when you hit and you rotate in like this, it totally messes up the shot. I mean, so for so many years, I hit backhands like this and leaning in. But on the run, you've got to stay sideways. So you stay sideways and you run across the court and you load up that outside leg. And as you swing, you transfer the weight to the front foot. It's pretty tough to learn this. So you got to, maybe you can have someone toss some balls to you and not make them too tough, but just get the timing of the feet down. Once you get that, you can actually, if you're on your front foot, hitting off your front foot, you actually want to hit and release and jump a little bit afterwards. That's super advanced, but I love that footwork. That was something no one ever showed me either until I studied the pros. Boy, that would have helped me, because so many years I played where I was on my front foot and my backhand, again, leaning in, blocking my hips, no power, no relaxation. And that jumping afterwards lets you rotate your body. And it lets you rotate after the hit. So you don't want to rotate as you hit. So you stay sideways as you hit, then you jump and you rotate. And I call it the jump around. Very advanced. I don't advise many people to do it. But if you want to give it a try, again, the lesson is there for you to try. And then the final lesson of month 5, week 4 are the slice finishes. And I learned these slice finishes by studying video and also by working with my good friend Joseph O'Dwyer, great coach. And he might even have 4 finishes. I just have 2. I keep it simple when it comes to the slice. And so I believe you should work on the slice, and you should, hold the finish. It's a really high finish. My hand's off the screen, but it's a smooth swing. So when you make contact, then it's a slow finish. Make contact, and then you raise up. So you're raising the ball up in the air. You want it to cross over the net like this, okay? You want it to be rising as it crosses the net. You don't want it to float. You want to hold that finish. It's so important to hold the finish, because so many people slice and then they swipe down really fast. You want to hold that finish. That's very, very critical to be able to do that. And you're going to do this on balls that are low and balls that are coming slower. So you have time to have a smooth swing where you just, raise the hand and you raise the arm. Really, really good to do that. But then the other slice finish is what I call the stop finish or the short finish. And that's when kind of like the volley, when you make contact, you stop the finish. Now, you don't want to stop with a bent arm like the volley. You want the arm straight, but you want to stop just after contact. And the racket's going to finish more parallel instead of the long finish where the hand goes way up above the head. You're going to be parallel. And when you do this slice finish, and this is what the slice finish that most people teach, most people don't teach the longer finish at the end. So the shorter finish, you're going to get more stick. So you're going to be able to really knife it and, really make like that ball stick. But the caveat is that if you hit that and you stop really fast, you could lose control. I don't know about you, I like to have control. So I like to develop the feel first with a slower slice and then the stop, okay? The feel first with a slower slice, longer finish, and then you stop when you really want to stick the ball. Now, also when the ball comes fast to you, that's when you want to stop the finish more. When the ball comes slower, you want to raise up your hand more. So speed of the ball makes a big difference. Height of the ball can make a difference. The higher the ball, the typically you're going to stop. The lower the ball, typically you're going to go longer. So that's key. But knowing you have 2 slice finishes, you have options. And coming across your body a little bit more instead of straight out. And if you have a strong backhand grip, you're probably going to go straight out. If you have a weak continental, closer to forehand, you go more across like Federer and like myself. So, yeah, again, as you know, we've been talking now for what, 45 minutes? There's just so much content in every month. This month alone, you could study this for a year, 2 years, and still keep learning. That's what makes it all so awesome, is that the learning never stops. I'm working with these students nonstop. Oh, I'm not nonstop, but I'm working with these students and I'm showing them so many cool tricks of the trade. It's pretty awesome to see these players learn it on the court, and then of course sharing all the tricks in the Tennis Insiders Club. It's pretty amazing. And as you know, if you have questions, you can leave questions. I'll do my best to get back and answer them. And but yeah, we've covered now next level. We covered the entire month. We only have 1 month left. Next month, we're coming up with strategy. So many of you are going to get a lot of value. Most of you, if not all of you, are going to get a lot of value out of the strategy next month. But next level is awesome stuff. I showed you that here. And again, I just feel so blessed that I can just pour out my knowledge, experience, and what I've learned. So Hopefully you enjoyed tonight's call. We ran right through month 4 and month 5. Month 4 was more of a review. Month 5 was clearly what we're doing right now, next level tennis. And, you know, we went over some really, really high level stuff. So if we had to summarize, you know, month 4, that was the effortless power and technique, relaxing the hand, holding the finishes. If we had to summarize next level tennis, month 5, we're talking about moving eloquently, moving through the ball, moving efficiently after the serve and the return, moving through your volleys, moving correctly to get around balls or 2 balls on the ground strokes. All these recovery secrets, just really, really cool stuff. And then, of course, the specialty shots we threw in, the buggy whip, the backhand on the run, and the slice backhand. So great stuff. So excited to share it, as always. And I'm really, really blessed, again, that I get to share it with you all. Thank you so much for tuning in, for taking the time to listen. You guys are awesome students. And we will see you at month 6. We'll see you at month 6 call in about 3 or 4 weeks' time.